Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Quarbit and this is Frostpunk. So it's basically just December now and I decided, well, I may as well try something that I've been looking at for a really long time, and that is this game. This is a city sort of survival game where you have to build up a city from the ground, and there's a whole bunch of lore behind it. Essentially, you have like the world's freezing over and all that interesting stuff. So people are going to be, for some reason, fleeing north. I don't know why, but they're going to be building the last city on Earth, and you have to survive through a range of different things, including building up from basically nothing, keeping everyone heated and happy, making sure people don't die from sickness and cold, and other stuff like that. So, we're going to hop right into it. This is basically a game that's, I don't know, I like to call it Canada the Simulator because it gets really damn cold. I mean, of course, in this game it gets a lot more, well, it gets a lot colder than it actually does in winter in Canada. I mean, clearly, but I just, you know, it's basically what it is. So you can change whatever scenario you want. We're going to be doing the new home. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's the arcs, there is the refugees, and there is the fall of winter home. Now, essentially, we're just going to be doing the new home one because that is the basic one. That's when you start off with when you're trying to learn the game. I've already played through this about once entirely. I've tried it like 2 or 3 more different times. That didn't entirely work out. But we're going to see if we can try and survive it this time. Next we have, we can choose the difficulty. We're going to keep it on medium because I haven't really tried hard. I'm afraid it's not going to be incredibly interesting if we put it on hard if we die too quickly. So we're going to keep it on medium, see if we can maybe actually get through this alive and all that good stuff. So we're going to go with that. We're just going to hit the start button where a little cinematic is going to play out, and I'm going to shut up for a little while you watch that. Of course, it's going to take a little while to load in, but while it's happening, I'll sort of give a brief description of certain things that you have to do. So there are basically the 3 main resources at the beginning of the game, which is sort of like your wood, your coal, and your steel, I believe. You have a couple of other things like food and stuff. But essentially, you're going to start off with, think about 80 survivors. It's going to be really, really cold, like maybe minus 20 degrees Celsius, which I don't really know how that converts into Fahrenheit for all you Americans and all that stuff. But essentially, it's pretty damn cold, if that's what you're wondering. Not as cold as it gets sometimes where I live, but yeah, it's pretty damn cold, I'd say. I'd say it's not the worst thing I've ever experienced, but it gets a lot worse later on in the game. I think at most you can reach like minus 150 degrees Celsius, which if you're wondering, is halfway down to 0 Kelvin, which is minus 273 degrees Celsius. But I'm going to shut up right now while we watch this.
Still cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped with pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress. Until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty. And for those who remained, came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step, we knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
Alrighty then, nice little cinematic introduction to Frostpunk right there. Now, this is sort of a whole bunch of people coming from London and all that good stuff that are going to be trying to survive here. So, yeah, canonically, they are English speakers, which makes a little bit of sense. Right then, a new home. We fled from London and crossed the sea to reach the frozen north. On the way, our convoy was hit by a blizzard and scattered. A handful of us managed to reach the site of this generator, only to find it frozen solid and abandoned. Why is no one here? Did any of our people survive the blizzard? And are there any others out there? Whatever we do, we should expect the worst, now the world as we know it has crumbled. Alrighty, we have to survive. Well then, one of the things you'll notice right off the bat is that this game is absolutely beautiful. Now, there are a couple of very, very minor details, specifically how the snow is done, that I really, really appreciate. Right then, we have to fight the cold. We need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to other buildings. Without it, we'll freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and start the generator. Now, I kept the tutorial on, even though I have a very, I'd say, fairly good understanding of how the game works. So basically, welcome to day 1. It is minus 20 degrees Celsius, as I predicted, and using this little button at the top, you can see how cold it is. Right now, it is right around chilly everywhere, where it's sort of a low chance of getting ill. It's not really a big problem. The people are relatively warm still, and they're sort of sitting there chilling. They're not doing anything right now because the game's paused. But essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to have to manage these 3 resources up there, and this one at some point. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, who knows. But we're going to manage this at some point as well. This here is something called steam cores, which is a very, very limited resource in the game. That we can get through a couple of various different, odd things that happen. So, what we're going to have to do is, we're not going to start the generator first, because honestly, it's cold, right? But it's not that cold. Like, it could be a lot worse. People aren't going to get very, very sick right now. Right now, our main priorities are starting up research, getting people some homes, and a medical center. That's going to be our first little ring around here. You can see everything's sort of shaped in a ring around the generator for a very, very specific reason. Now, this is our stockpile, so you can click on each little individual citizen. They have, they have a couple of very, very interesting stats. I really like the small details. It's the small things that make the game really like to, come alive and all that stuff. So they're all doing well. They're all homeless. Some people are alone in this world. Some people have spouses and children, all that good stuff. Right, now, we have right now 50 idle workers, 15 engineers, and 15 children. Children cannot work. That's just how it is. So you can sign a law using this thing called the Book of Laws to sign some child labor if you would very, very much like to. I often go for child shelters because that is better for reasons I'll explain when we get to it. You can also do things like build their like roads, their different houses, all that good stuff. You can build roads like that, all that stuff. Everything is sort of in a ring sort of placement where you can see a ring, a heat ring. It's essentially 2, they're not really squares or rectangles, just 2 blocks, I guess. The really, really small ones out there. So this tent is about 2 blocks wide and 3 blocks long, if long is this way and wide is this way. So 2 blocks wide is one heat ring of the generator when it's on. Now I'm not going to demonstrate that because I have to turn it on to do that, but we're not going to do that. Right, so what we're going to start off doing is probably get a couple of guys working on wood. I'd say about several guys. We're going to get about 15 people working on there. We're going to get 5 people working on that. We're going to get 10 people to work on our technology, working up the workshop right there. Yeah, I think that's a good place for it. We have a couple more people to do stuff. So 10 people are going to work on that. We should get 5 people to work on something else. Do we have anyone on coal? Yes, we have some people on coal. Okay. Let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more people on coal. 10 people are going to work on that. And I think we should be pretty good. People are gathering everything that they need, so we should be fine. As you can see here, it's really, really tall snow. Now, from the top, it doesn't look like it's very tall snow. It's like it doesn't look like much at all. But if you really, really zoom down, or you zoom in, you can see that's pretty tall snow. And I like how it all disappears as people walk through it. It's the little things. It's the little things that make me really, really happy in this game. Things like the texture of the snow, too, just make me very, very happy. Right then, so what is this building that we just made here? This building is called the workshop. Now, this workshop can only be staffed by engineers, people who essentially know what they're doing, and what it does is it opens up this technology tree. And this technology tree, essentially you can just sort of get a whole bunch of really, really good things out of it. And the good things that we get out of it are the things that are the most important in the game. So we're going to start with something called faster gathering. Essentially, it's pretty self-explanatory. People are just going to gather faster. I suppose this game, especially with a tech tree like this, is quite highly moddable. If people start working on mods, I haven't really checked the modding community out at all. So if it does exist, that'll be very, very cool. If it doesn't, oh well, it's fine. I'm sure it'll come about at some point fairly soon. Right then, so if we have... hold on, I just didn't do that right. There you go. Okay, 10 people. And we have 5 extra people who aren't doing anything right now. What they could be doing is we're going to build a medical post. Only 5 out of 10 people are working on that, so it's going to take a little while to actually get done. But they'll get it done. What we really need right now... Oh, there we go. People torn apart. We'll do what we can. Okay. We're waiting to see for someone to address me in terms of things like child labor. I'm sure at some point someone will ask me about that. Okay, what we need to do is get some engineers from somewhere that isn't important. Okay. Because medical posts can also only be staffed by engineers. I mean, it makes kind of sense, not in the fact that, you know, they're engineers, but in the fact that, well, you're not going to want to have regular Joes working these things, right? You're going to want to have people who might have a chance of knowing what they're doing. Even if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, they're engineers, maybe medical engineers, who knows? I don't really know. Alright then, so 1, 2, 3, I did not click this right, did I? No, I didn't, okay. I was wondering why that wasn't spaced out correctly at the end. The thing about roads is that the roads actually do not take up space. That's a very, very good thing about this. Okay, there you go. When it's people's free time, they will start working on that. So now a normal work time, working hours, is from 8 to 10. Not 8 to 10, 8 to 6, my bad. Didn't read that properly. I'm not very good with my 24-hour clocks, but yeah, about 8 to 6, I believe, is the working time average. Everyone has to work at that point. And you can get something called extended hours later on, which is really, really nice. If you go over to Book of Laws, you go to emergency shift and then extended shift, that's the good thing. Emergency shifts, I wouldn't really ever click, because those are not very nice to do, but yeah, there you go. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at child shelters. Child shelters are essentially nicer because your children have a place to stay, get less cold, technically. We're going to put that down right there, because we don't have to build a road to it. So we go. Free time. Okay, so what we need to do is get our tents. That's not enough tents. Okay, so unfortunately we actually didn't gather enough wood for everyone to be able to make a tent, which sucks a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get them one for them tomorrow, I think. So overnight they're just gonna have to chill there, I suppose. Children are cared for, hope rises, very nice. So during the day, children would be there. What is this? The heating's off, of course. Yes, I should turn the heater on. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There you go, steam level 1. I was going to turn it on to normal speed. You can see it slowly starts to heat up. Things start going. Looks really, really cool. Food, yes. You need to be mindful of coal reserves and food reserves, because right now, we actually don't have any food in terms of extra food. We have rations. Well, we have, they don't count as rations at the beginning of the game, but people don't need to eat for the first day, which is really, really nice. For, you know, days afterwards, they really do, so keep that in mind. Right then, so we have 10 people homeless, which means at least one person is going to get sick. People are going to get sick overnight, it's just how it is, because things get colder overnight, obviously. Keeping this generator on is very, very useful. Keeping them warm, less people get sick, which is very nice. We can't work on any technology right now, because the engineers are obviously asleep. They have to work regular hours as well. Can't have the engineers overwork. Yeah, well, we can, but just not yet. Not yet. We can have them overwork later on. I don't want to keep opening that when we can't do anything about it. Right, so at 5 in the morning is when a new day starts, technically, even though it doesn't make very much sense, and a work day starts at 8 o'clock. So what we're going to do, you can see, even though the people aren't at the wood yet, we're still gaining wood. So it's just right from the very, very beginning. So what we're going to do with that is we are going to, also there's another tent right there. Don't need so many people working on wood, so we're going to tell them to go and get, coal. So let's go get some wood over there. We're going to tell people to maybe get us a sawmill. No, not yet. Heaters. Heaters or sawmill? Heaters. Yes. Heaters are important because it's going to get a cold snap in about 2 days. Which will drop 2 levels, and then we're going to go back up by a level. So it'll be colder, but not as cold. We'll also introduce a new law, so what we might want to do with that is either radical treatment or soup. I think soup is probably one of the better options here. What we're going to do with this is we're going to go over here to food. We're build something called a cookhouse. A cookhouse will allow us to actually create food, which is really, really important. Or create rations out of other things. We get 10 people working over there. Gonna bring us more wood, which is very important. What is this? A note of thanks. It was the right thing to do. We gain a little bit of hope, which is very, very nice. I think I forgot to actually explain the hope bars, so Hope and discontent, sort of basically self-explanatory. Now, if your discontent rises too much, bad things start to happen in terms of, I think, I'm actually not entirely sure what discontent does. I know what hope does, but discontent, essentially, I believe the biggest issue with discontent is that the higher it is, the more people are willing to get into fights and stuff. So if there's more discontent, then people are willing to work less. They are starting to fight each other for resources and all that stuff. So we don't want discontent to get high. And in terms of hope, what hope does is if you have hope too low, then there's something later on called the Londoners, people who essentially want to go home, back to London, that will start to rise in popularity, and people will literally just leave your city. And you don't want that to happen because you need people to stay here, or they will definitely just die on the journey back to London. So you want to keep them here, but people aren't convinced just by telling them that they will die on the way back. So if you raise hope high enough, then it'll be just fine. Righty then. We're going to turn this off, actually, because we don't need it during the day. We cannot construct anything else right now. This is getting constructed right now. Generator shutting down, that's fine. Heaters research, very, very nice. Then we're going to grab ourselves a steam hub, which is sort of like a little area of effect of heat. Wood crates have been depleted. Okay, very good. That's what we wanted. I'm going to grab people on there, people on there. More wood to grab, yes, okay, good. Time off, meaning we should turn the generator back on. There you go. And that also means that we can't work on any technology right now. We should also end up getting some people who are working on things. Just one. Work in the cookhouse, that's very important. Just one person is required to turn raw food into food rations. What we're going to do is we're going to turn them into soup, which is just a lot more food rations. Essentially, it takes 2 raw food to create a 4 food rations for a standard meal, sorry, and 2 raw food to make soup, which is 5 food rations. So essentially, if we have 100 right now, then that's 50, I believe, extra food rations, which is pretty important. Is 50 more? Hold on. It's about, if you cut it in half, then it's 50 creations of food, I guess. So 50 times 5 is definitely 250. Okay, that's what I thought. Instead of your standard 200, which is 50 people that can be fed in a day. Each food ration represents 1 person getting fed a day. So there you go. Wait for our free time to go back up. People are not quite hungry yet, but they will be very soon if we don't get them some food. Alright, we can now introduce a new law as well. Now what do we want to do? Probably one of these ones. No one's died yet, which is very, very good. Emergency shift is also pretty nice. Also fighting arenas, which decreases discontent, but for right now we're going to go with radical treatment. Now radical treatment is pretty much, what do you think it is? We'll try everything to cure the gravely ill, from invasive surgery to amputations. Now this will, the gravely ill will be treated in medical posts, which is pretty good. Hope will rise slightly. 30% of the gravely ill treated in medical posts will be left as amputees, and discontent will rise slightly. So a little bit of discontent will rise, but it's overall worth it because later down the road we're going to get something called prosthetics, and prosthetics will allow us to give the amputees the ability to work again, and that's really important. If you just sustain life, though, they will never be able to work again because they're basically in a comatose state, and you're just going to try to sustain their lives, which is sometimes a nice thing to do, but not always the best thing to do. So we're going to go with a hunter's hut just over here because we're going to have to grab some food at some point. Right now we have food, but it's just being turned into rations. We don't have enough food production to actually get anything done. And also, when it reaches the morning, we're going to want to have absolutely no one working outside of gathering zones. I mean, outside, just out in the cold gathering and stuff. That is probably the most suboptimal thing you could possibly do. The reason is because people will get really, really cold, and it'll create a lot of issues. Because when they're working out in the cold, they get absolutely no heat. They get no heat. They just have their body heat, which sucks. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have a something for them, which is the heating hub, the steam hub. I'm going to slap that down in an area over here, and we're going to tell them to gather using a gathering hut, which if I can find it, gathering post, this one. Set it down over here. They'll gather everything in this sort of white striped area. Not adjacent to street, but we can connect it really easily. So what we're going to do is go over here, connect that up over to there. We're going to get some people assigned on in the morning And what we're also going to do is, even though the roads aren't built, you can tell them to build a steam hub afterwards. That's nice and easy. Steam hub right there. And they'll get done when they're done their daily tasks. Steel wreckage is depleted, meaning we should assign them to something else for the rest of the day. Some more boxes, some more steel over there. Just until work time is done. People, it says they're hungry, but we're creating food rations, so it should not be an issue. They're just waiting too long to eat. Too developed in their work, I guess. Enveloped, not developed. So, now that everyone's done, we know that it's going to be a cold snap tomorrow, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring all our workers back in. All of them. Literally all of them. Everyone back in. I believe so. There we go. We're going to... a couple of people over there. We're going to get some people working on there in the morning. And the other people are just going to chill, I guess. It's not a couple people over there, too. People from our convoy, I probably should have read that. Because even though I know what it says, it doesn't. It's basically like we can go out and try to discover people in our convoy once we create the beacon. I think that's basically what it's telling us. I don't exactly remember. I know to a degree what it says, but... Ready then. We need to assign some people over there in the morning. They'll get there when they do. We're going to turn it to work hours, because we don't want to start wasting our coal for no good reason. Speaking of wasting coal, I probably should turn off the generator during the day, but it's fine. We have about 2 days worth of coal, so we should be okay. We also introduce a new law, so what we should probably do is end up doing either engineer or medical apprentices. Those are very, very nice to have later on, but I think what we're going to do is either go with extra rations, maybe. No, we should go with emergency shifts. Yes, I think that's what we'll do. And then we're going to go into extended shifts. So we're not going to use emergency shifts, but we'll have them in case we really, really need. Really need to. I don't think we ever will, though. Right then, so day 4 is going to get extra chilly. It's going to be, you know, average February temperatures in Canada. Oh boy, it's going to get nice and minus 40 degrees, something like that. And that is why we got the heaters, because in this area, it's too cold to work, but we turn on the heater, then it works just fine. See, the heat range of our generator is the orange stripe lines, and they're not going to really reach these areas out here. But things like the hunter hut actually doesn't matter at all, because the hunters are generally spending most of the time outside the hut anyway, so it's not really important. But things like the cookhouse is very, very important, especially you need heat to cook things. You know, kind of self-explanatory there. Everyone else who doesn't have a hut to gather with, we're just going to tell them to work over here, because they're generally in a safe heat area over here. Where it's chilly, it's basically like conditions were the other day. So you're basically fine. Hunter's gear has been researched, meaning we're going to get a little bit more food coming out of our hunter's huts, just about 5 more per day, which actually does make it a big difference. When you have soup, that's about 25 extra rations per day, which is very nice. Next, we're going to go with the sawmill, because we're going to run out of wood pretty quickly, and we're going to need to gather wood from the trees around here. The icy trees, as you can see here. We zoom in on them. They look pretty nice. Good old icy frozen trees. We're going to have to cut them down. I don't really know how that works. Do the trees... I guess they get really preserved when they're cold, I suppose, but when were the trees from? Where do these trees come from? No one really knows, but they're there. Somehow trees up in the frozen North Pole under a whole bunch of glaciers. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but it's be some really, really old trees. Right, so over here, people are not really getting sick, I don't believe. There might be a little bit of chilly at work, but they should be fine. Their temperatures are just chilly, slightly warmer than chilly. Generally pretty cold, but not the worst thing in the world. So over here, oh yeah, they actually just don't have enough food, because we use all our raw food, turn them into food rations. We're also very quickly getting our cap on coal and food rations, which is just fine. Yeah, we're really reaching our cap on coal really quickly. Okay, what we're going to do then, is we're going to go to the sawmill. We're going to build one, I think, just about over here, seems about right. Try to get the most resources out of it. I think this should be about a nice place to put it down. We're going to go connect it up by road, just like that. Roads, again, do not take up space, I don't believe. So you can basically put them down wherever you want. When we're done with using this area, then we can basically just turn the roads back to where they're to wood and stuff and just use them later. Alright then, so what we might want to do next is go for the extended shift, which seems like a very, very good idea. We're going to assign them over to here. Extended shift, it raises discontent by a little bit, but I think it's rather important. So we can go and finally make that beacon. That beacon is important to creating expeditions of people to go and try and find the rest of our convoy, see where they went. So we have these 10 people over here. We're going to tell them to work on this. They're not going to work on it right now, but they will later on, so that's fine. Put it back to that maximum speed. And when it reaches morning again, it is now day 5. When it reaches morning, they'll start working on it, which is nice and fine. These trees will get depleted. There's about 900 wood in there. And when it's done, we can go and, like, some over here, some more wood over there, more wood over here. Then, when you run out of all that, which I don't think I ever have, but when you do, what you can do is create something called a wall drill. So you start drilling into the walls. I thought it would maybe expand your area, but it really doesn't. It just makes wood for you. I don't know how that works either, but it just works. That's it. It just does. We'll see how really cold it is in here. It's kind of cold. It's not the worst thing. Child shelter should probably be heated, to be honest with you. We're here. That's the medical tent, isn't it? Yeah, it should probably be heated as well. We don't want people getting sick inside the medical tent. That makes absolutely no sense. We should keep that pretty warm. Right then, gotta move on, chap. There's still plenty of work to get done. Sometimes I wonder what the purpose of our struggle is, and that's another thing. Eventually, people will start to wonder about their purpose, and we will see that later on. And I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it. It's a really, really sort of interesting story thing that happens later on. So I won't spoil it, but so you know, people will start to question the reason that they exist. So we're gonna keep about one there. Maybe we should build ourselves. Thinking maybe another hunter's hut. I mean, we're doing pretty well on food. Let's check our economy tab here. We're going to look at our food. We're gaining about 50 and we're losing about 80 a day. Okay. That's because we don't have enough raw food. So what we're going to do is build another hunter's hut. We're going to put it right there. It's already connected up for whatever reason, so that's fine. We've got a couple people who are a little bit sick here. They will be treated eventually. But what we should also do is end up over with our what's important? Steelworks? I think the steelworks are the most important right now. Let's get that done. Right then, we don't need as many people working on things like over here. So when the hunter's hut is done, hey, the coal pile just finished getting collected, so we're going to assign 15 people over there. Maybe 2 people over here now. I'm going to assign something in the Book of Laws because we can, and why not? We're going to get ourselves maybe a cemetery. Raises hope. Make people happier. Let's look at our cemetery. We're going to put it down, I don't know, somewhere that's sort of out of the way. I don't really know. But that seems fine. Sure, that seems fine. So we're going to get ourselves a beacon. Beacon can be placed very, very far on the edges because, well, we're not really gonna be using it for anything. Except for it doesn't have to have people working in it. It just sort of exists, really. We're here. So there's nothing left to pick up, but that's not it. We're actually at our cap. Are we? No, we're not. What does it say? Storage near capacity. Yeah, okay. So what we should do is make a coal storage at some point. So resources. A resource depot is what we need, but we need a lot more steel. Steel is what we need. So what we'll do is we're making steelworks right now. Steelworks require 25 wood to make. They don't require any steel, which is very, very nice. Cemetery has been established, which is good. People have a little bit of increased hope. Steelworks has been researched. That's very, very important because we are running very low on steel right now. We're going to slap it down with a couple areas. Let's rotate around here. Just 2 areas, apparently. Okay. So we're going to slap one down right. Destroy resources. We're not going to do that. Put it down right there. And we're going to connect it up like so. There you go. People will work on it, and we're going to get people to get stuff done in the morning. Next, I think the final thing on this tier is to get ourselves the coal thumper. I think that should be just about it, and I'm going to do a time check right about now. See how far we are, and that's about about 30 minutes, which is very interesting how I caught us right at this mark. So I think we can be going for, I don't know, about a minute more. I'm going to have to call it quits for the night, but I just really wanted you guys to see this very, very interesting cutscene. One of my favorite cutscenes in the game. It just looks really tranquil. This snow is falling, slow motion. The frost around the screen really, really makes it. Yeah, just a little beacon, you know, a little bit of hot air balloon with a light on it. Just to let people know where you are. There you go. And this is the next mechanic we'll be taking a look at. I'll briefly describe it and what we're doing. So what we're going to do is take 2 people off there. It's going to create a group of 5 people. Go over here, create a scout thing. It uses 5 people and a little bit of food. It creates ourselves a little bit of an expedition, you know, scouts, all that stuff, and we can tell them to go places. So we're going to tell them to go to the Lost Expedition. There might be something there, who knows. I actually kind of do know, but I'm not going to spoil it. So there'll be a couple things, maybe. Not much. Maybe a couple of resources, who really knows. Over here we have ready to search. People cheer as the giant observation balloon soars above the city. This is a real feat. Everyone feels proud of the work they've done to make it happen. Volunteers have lined up, eager to go looking for our lost people in the Frostland. The woman who came forward earlier is among them. Very, very interesting. And with that note, we're going to have to call it quits for now. We're going to have to put a little bit of a cut in here right as we reach day 6. The first 5 days we completed in this half hour. I wanted to get a couple things out of the way just so we can put up a little bit of a setup for how things are going to be going. So I apologize that this episode went by so quickly. Next episodes, we're going to take it a little bit more chill, but we got the little bulk of explanations out of the way first, so hopefully you got all that down, and we're going to have to catch you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day.